Hello, Gemini. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am about to do your monthly reading for March 2020. Coming into this reading, you guys have the Six of Pentacles underneath the deck. And this energy is about giving and receiving. But in this instance, in this spread, I'm feeling like you guys are being called to give something to the world, to give something to the people. You have the Ace of Swords in your emotions this month, and I feel like there's something that you need to speak, something that you need to communicate. Your voice needs to be heard. There's a challenge for you to rise to, Gemini, this month, and this challenge, you rising to this challenge, is going to require for you to shed an old version of yourself and old beliefs that you have about your abilities, as well as old beliefs that you have in general about yourself. You have the Four of Cups as your role this month, and I feel like there's been something that your soul is calling you to do. There is something there, something that you need to make tangible, an idea, a thought, an inspiration that you need to act on. But Spirit is calling you, Spirit is asking you to answer the call. And I feel like you guys are a little bit, you're not moving, okay? And I don't know whether some of you are complacent, some of you are afraid to step out of your comfort zone. Some of you may feel like, okay, yeah, I feel like I'm supposed to do this, but I don't want to do that right now. Like, I'm not trying to focus on that right now, but this is a part of your divine plan. And really, to be honest with you, with this death card here, I honestly feel like a lot of you guys are not necessarily answering the call because you're afraid. You're afraid of what life is going to be like and the changes that this stepping into this calling is going to bring into your life, okay? What to expect is the Eight of Pentacles. You guys are working. You're focused on something. You're growing something. But if it feels like you guys have been working on something that you've been struggling to complete, you're still in the beginning stages. You got the Five of Wands, Page of Pentacles next to it. There's something that you're creating, something that you guys have been working on. And it may be in reference to this calling, this thing or this creation that your soul is calling you to bring into the world. It's like you've been working on it, but you're struggling with it. You may be struggling emotionally. It may be parts of yourself that want to do it, parts that don't. It may be parts that believes that things should go this way and parts that believe that things should go that way. But it's a lack of harmony within that is causing the work to become more difficult and for you to struggle. Some of you actually have been trying to work on this thing and bring this creation into the world, but you're distracted. Some of you have children that require a lot of attention, and some of you have siblings that are pulling on your time, or friends, people that you're close to that don't necessarily understand the importance of what it is that you're working on. But somebody, something is triggering you in this time period, especially with this death card here. I feel like something is triggering you guys to really reassess um, the people in your lives, not just necessarily friendships and relationships, but business as well. And I feel like there may be a certain experience or a certain feeling, either even a challenging emotion that may be triggering you to shed some old beliefs and to let go of some old feelings. Um, with the death card here, Gemini, some of you are going to see certain things come to an end so that this this calling can come into existence, so that it can come into creation. So if there is a loss in your relationships, or a loss in your work, or some sort of changes or transformations taking place, it's just so that you can have more space to foster and take care of this thing that you're working on, so that you can actually birth it into the real world. Some of you, and I send my condolences, some of you are grieving. Some of you have experienced some loss in your family. Could be a friend, it could have been a child. I'm picking up on someone who has recently lost someone who's going through a very, very, very difficult time. Someone lost their mother, someone lost their grandmother, someone lost a child. There's been some endings, some very painful endings, and it's It's a very emotional time period for some of you Geminis, and I send my condolences to you, and I offer you love and support, and I'm sending light your way. Some of you have been wanting to make contact with some of your relatives. Some of you have been thinking about mediumship and just trying to connect with the loved one who's passed over, but a lot of you are dealing with grief. Another thing that I'm seeing here, you guys, is that there's this urge to communicate, this urge to use your voice to create. I do feel like there are some decisions that you're getting ready to make, some endings that you are getting ready to bring into fruition. I see financial increase for you guys as far as your work, but I also see you changing your work habits and your work routines. Another thing that I'm seeing are new relationships entering your lives. And right now, some of you may not want to connect with anybody new right now, especially if you've lost someone and you're still grieving, or sometimes maybe that's what you're looking for, is for someone to reach out and for someone to support you as you're going through what you're going through. Um, Connection is very important for you guys this month, and having support. You Geminis are feeling like you need someone to support you through your process as you are responding to this soul calling. Some of you are finally having the courage to step up and to ask yourself, what am I passionate about, or to follow through with your passions. But you need a lot of intimacy around you, and it seems like you may be getting frustrated because you may not be getting the support that you're looking for, or people may be trying to support you in ways that you don't necessarily need support in. So this may be a time where you have to kind of draw into yourself. You may have to step back and just nurture yourself and take care of yourself, especially for those of you who are grieving. But this can be a very emotional time period for some of you guys. For others, I do see new relationships entering, and I see you guys being reluctant to focus on relationships or to accept new relationships because some of you don't want to become distracted. Some of you feel like being in these relationships will throw you off your goals, but that's not necessarily true here, Gemini. I will say trust your guidance, but be confident enough in yourself to know that you deserve to have a loving relationship. But also understand and remember that you can make a time and a place for anything and everything. And you can make a time to focus on your relationships. You can make a time to focus on your work. So, Gemini, we're great at multitasking, and sometimes that can be a downfall because it causes you to stay in the past or in the future and not in the present. So focus on enjoying happiness right now. Focus on finding presence, divine connection right now, Gemini. Focus on stepping away from what's triggering you, but stepping away so that you can take a more objective look at it. So that you're not so caught up emotionally in what's going on around you that you're not seeing things clearly. Gemini, I also am getting solar plexus energy from you guys, and I'm seeing that in your guidance card the solar plexus card showed up, and there is a little bit of yellow in your spread. I feel like you guys are going to be working on the solar plexus chakra this month, developing confidence, developing self-esteem, developing self-worth, self-love, again, especially with the Empress being here. The Six of Pentacles could also you be giving, it could also be you giving back to yourself, giving the love that you've given out to everybody else. Finally, you're making the decision to give that love back to yourself as well. So, you guys are moving through a couple of different challenges in the love department, and in your relationships. Gemini, this month, your relationship with your mother is going to be very, very important. Okay, you guys are, some of you have had very difficult relationships with your mother. And if you have, this is a month where you may focus on improving those relationships, or you may consider cutting off certain mothers or mother figures off completely. And the reason why is because you know that this relationship can't go on any longer like this. And you know that there has to be some changes in whatever relationship this is in order for you to to remain committed, you know. I am seeing you guys picking up some new ideas, setting some new ideas into motion. And for the majority of this spread, what I see is change and transformation. So you guys are going to be living from the heart. Focus on living a more passionate life, focusing on what's triggering you, and focusing on taking having the courage to take the call. You know, if you guys um, if you guys are in the space where you're just kind of afraid to see your growth and to see your potential, it's okay. You guys are growing into this radiant being in this abundant space, and things are definitely getting better. There are some important decisions that you guys are going to have to make toward the end of the month. And these decisions need to be more logical, they need to be more unbiased, more objective than anything. This is about you weighing things out in your life, Gemini, especially financially, weighing out the pros and the cons, the good and the bad, the expenses and the income, and making sure that your finances and your life in general is in balance. Another thing that you may want to work on this month, Gemini, is making sure that your spiritual and physical lives are in balance. Some of you may be over focused on work, but not focused enough on spirit and your divine connection. Some of you may be so focused on divine connection that you're neglecting work. So find a routine and something, and I know that word for Gemini is not the best word, but find a practice, okay, that works for you, Gemini. Something that brings more balance. I get that you guys may be feeling a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of uncertainty. You have some difficult choices to make as far as your lifestyle and career and things of that sort. So the small steps are important now, Gemini. And it's important for you to stay focused on your process, but tackle things a step at a time so that you don't lose your footing. Again, you guys, open your heart. Okay, your advice is the Ace of Cups. Open your heart and live from your heart. Focus on creating from the heart. Focus on answering the call, Gemini. And live on purpose, you know. Continue to use your voice to bring light into the world, to see light. Using your voice is a part of your divine plan, Gemini, but something or someone is triggering you, and it may cause you to respond to that trigger instead of responding to your calling. So, you guys, focus on taking care of yourself, protecting yourself, but also focus on answering this call. This message keeps repeating itself. I just keep hearing answer the call. So, Gemini, if you need a more personal reading as far as this message goes, or if you would like to extend this reading and get some more details about it, please feel free to book a session. And you guys, I will see you very soon. Have a wonderful month, Gemini.